I picked something that you basically picked for me. I asked people what they thought I was going to do, and that's what I did. And that's basically diet and you, part of the Health and Wellness AxoTalk series. This isn't a talk about nutrition. Gus actually pointed out to me that they were actually modifying the nutrition fact label, and that's a separate talk. I don't really care about that anyways. I'm more concerned about ingredients anyways, and you can't read that. You probably can't understand any of that stuff, and neither can your body. But we are going to go into a few diets that I've experienced in my lifetime, and hopefully you haven't seen or heard of some of them, and kind of see how they improve into the healthy lifestyle. This is a long list of things that you can do to be healthy. It's not an all-inclusive list. You can search for these and find a million of them online. But as you notice, to be healthy, over half of these items are concerning what your diet is or what you consume. And that's really a big part of it. And I mentioned a coach and physical therapist I follow. His name's Kelly Starrett. He says you should be thinking about how you think, how you move, how you sleep, and relative to this talk, how you eat. And so unless you're actively searching for these, searching new diets online, you really rely on family and friends, people or random events to expose you to this kind of material. So really my goal today is just to open your minds to learning about diet and share how I've experienced it. So what is diet? It's not as scary as some of you may think. It's simply just what you consume. The diets I'm going to talk about today are the perfect diet, PALEO, Atkins, the blood type diet, slow carb, low carb, gluten-free, and we'll just go through each of those briefly to point out the different points and similarities. The perfect diet, does this exist? Can we all consume something or follow a program and be in perfect health? Actually, it's a myth. I don't believe in it. Things like Soylent are food substitutes that are supposed to address all of our nutritional needs do not currently work. There's nothing out there. The important thing is that we have the similar foundation. We all have the same systems. We have different body types, of course, but everyone is different, mind, body, and soul. So we need to address that and have different diet plans and training programs for that. The real diet to start with is the paleo diet, also known as the Paleolithic diet, caveman diet, hunter or gatherer diet. Basically what it says is that humans haven't changed since 15,000 years ago when the dawn of agriculture began. And since that period in time, our health basically declined. And in the paleo diet, on the top here, the important thing to note is focus more on natural stuff. Don't go to things that have been made in a factory. Avoid the chemical storm. Things like fat-free, low-fat, those are red flags you want to stay away from in the paleo diet. And your plate should look like this. Proteins, obviously the largest portion, and then fats and vegetables on that plate as well. Dietitians and anthropologists will argue this, basically saying that there's limited evidence that suggests that really our human physiology has changed at any point in time in the past. So you'll see like a TED Talk called "Debunking the Paleo Diet" by Christina Werner, who really goes into that if you're interested. The Atkins diet was actually the first one that I was exposed to. What it says is that you should eat high-fat, high-protein diet, limit carbs. It's basically this 4-phase diet with induction being the first one. Primarily in that phase, you're supposed to spark ketosis. And what that is using metabolism from converting glucose for energy to using alternate source, namely fat. So you're burning fat rather than carbs that are on hand. There's other ones such like the Dukan diet, which have 4 phases as well. But really, there's no really category of food in this. It's just a guideline. Intermittent fasting is the only one we'll talk today about time-based. So focusing on when you should eat. And the common one is splitting the day into 16 hours off, 8 on. So you eat what you normally eat, but within 8 hours. The rest you're not eating, you're just drinking heavy fluids. So I do this occasionally. I don't go to the extreme like 40-hour fast without eating anything. I mean, most of the time I'm drinking protein shakes or juice as my liquids, which are technically food. There's a good quote on this intermittent fasting that applies to all the diets, I think, and it says, "I hope that intermittent fasting alone would be the secret for health and weight loss. It seemed like all the experts were saying that if I changed what time I ate, then I would lose fat and gain muscle easily. But I only started seeing the results I wanted when I combined intermittent fasting with a healthy diet of real whole foods and regular weightlifting." Going into a little bit of the nutrition label again, not too far in deep though, is the golden ratio of macros or macronutrients, which are carbs, fat, and protein. I have to state this because the next diet is called IIFYM, or If It Fits Your Macros. A diet I heard in the gym, which basically it's a website, and you go there and there's this administrator on there that says this on their about page: "You are not fat because of your genetics. You're not fat because of lack of willpower. You're not fat because of a sweet tooth. You're most certainly not fat because you eat carbs, fat, dairy, gluten, sugar, red meat, fast food, or candy." Okay, ... In fact, your food choices have almost nothing to do with your body weight or fat mass. It comes down to this last statement, basically calories in equals calories out sort of thing. End of story. This, to me, is like a macro baloney diet. From what I can tell on the site, you can eat whatever you want as long as you're within your macronutrient requirements, which is, I don't know if anyone here knows their macro ratios, what you require. I don't. And they try to make it out like it's simple, but you go on their site and there's like significant calculations and adjustments you have to do to even find out this information. So also in this one, there's a lot of excuses, I think, because you can always say if it fits. You know, it fits. So you can eat whatever you want. It fits. The slow carb diet is brought to you by an author that I follow, Tim Ferriss, who does the 4-hour work week initially, the 4-hour body, which this computer is on right now, and the 4-hour chef. The claim is that you can lose 20 pounds in 30 days. Again, it's a little bit of schedule based, but you get a list of do and don't foods. The do foods are primarily eggs, like proteins, meats. Don't is actually dairy. And there is a variation that they mention in the book that it's possible to get huge with less than 30 minutes of gym time per week. The variation that they mention is a CARBS protocol, which suggests that you eat dairy and a high amount, like a gallon of milk a day. And so that's a lot. Yeah. The low carb diet is something I want to engage on. I watched this video on YouTube. It's pretty famous by Robert Lustig called "Sugar: The Bitter Truth," and basically this map shows how the U.S. has this problem of sugar intake, and what we should do about it. And the U.S. compared to other parts of the world, we have this large range of what's good food, but also what's bad food. And because of this, we have this range of who's fit and who's not fit in America. And so, but we see this cultural shift. People are much more interested in their health and well-being now. So it's good to know. From this talk, I also have this infographic. If anyone's drinking soda in here, you get to see what's happening right now. on a time basis and the health problems that go along with it. It's a very good talk and thing to consider if you're trying to limit your carbs. The gluten-free I want to talk about, we have some gluten-free people in here. I'm primarily gluten-free because of the book Wheat Belly by Dr. William Davis, who says wheat is the disease now because wheat today is genetically modified. It's not the same wheat that we had in the earlier part of not this, but the last century. He did a study that showed basically all of his patients who were either pre-diabetic or diabetic who were instructed to go off wheat, that the majority of them had weight loss of 25 to 30 pounds. They no longer had problems from arthritis. They had disappearance of numbing, and most reported increased mental clarity, deeper sleep, and moods and emotions that were greater desired. This is an interesting one. It's been around for a while, called Eat Right for Your Type by Peter Adamo. And basically it says if you have a blood type, which we all do, there's 4 of them, A, B, B, O. I'm B, so I have to eat green vegetables, eggs, specific meats, excluding chicken, and low-fat dairy. I kind of have a problem with this one because I don't eat dairy, and probably a quarter of my diet is chicken. So am I doing it wrong? Maybe. But this is for B. If you're not B, it's not your fault. We also have the other diets here. If you're concerned, the A is obviously vegetarian, so you're not supposed to eat meats. AB, you're pretty rare. 2 to 5% of the population have this blood type. You eat seafood, not to be confused with the I see food and I eat it diet. And then the O, which is the hunter diet. You're supposed to work out a lot and eat animal protein. So this blood type diet seems to be more of like supercharging your immune system to eat foods that will help you prevent predisposed genetic diseases, cancers, and diabetes. And on that note, not really a diet, but juicing. So this, I'm juicing here currently. And this is actually a picture of what makes up that juice. The documentary up in the right-hand corner is by Joe Cross, aka Joe the Juicer. Basically, he goes from having a pretty rare condition to regularly juicing and completely eliminating that. And it's worked for many people now. And the thing is if you're going to eat fruits and vegetables and your appropriate servings, then awesome, do that. But for most of us, we can't lay this out all on a plate and just start eating it. It would take forever. It's very hard to do. So juicing gets around that by going to liquid form and being very easy to digest. Now, all these diets, that's the full list of diets I'm going to go through. You may think like, okay, I've heard of some of these. I think they're just a fad. I can't adopt them. So the thing today is that we see more organic restaurants coming up, restaurants that have gluten-free options. We see more juice bars. So this map here is obviously just our block here, and those are all juice bars that we can go get juice from if we want. So it's not, you don't get to hand pick your stuff, but it's a good choice. And when I came out here to school, would have been 6 years ago actually, the only juice place I know was at the MU, Jamba Juice. So not the same as what we're seeing today. But health restaurants are doing a good job as promoting this lifestyle here. On the opposite end, we have companies who put up defenses and marketing ploys like all natural. And if you've ever taken like a nutrition class, you know that all natural is a red flag because there's no formal definition, there's no regulation of you can put that on your product. I mean, I could put all natural on a candy bar and say, all right, okay, but it's probably not natural, On the other side, we have organic materials, and this is actually a certification to combat that, which you actually have to, in your agricultural methods, go through approved processes and methods to growing your crop and distributing it among your sellers. So going next is that we've addressed diets, but if you want to take on a specific diet or adopt any one of these, it requires discipline. It requires willpower, definitely. And it's up to you to succeed, definitely. But you may want to have helping hand from others, and that's why I look up to people and search for this information and watch these videos, read these books. You want to avoid certain people, or at least steer clear of getting sucked into what they're doing, because the diet is not about them, it's about you. So all of these, I mean, you may not know some of these, but you don't have to be friends with them. Because, I mean, it's up to you, right? You could also write your diet. Going forward, these are my role models. Tim Ferriss is that author I mentioned of the slow carb diet, and his 3 primary books, 4 Hour Chef being the most recent. One concept to notice. Is that the same guy? Right?
How do you get taller?
Right? Yeah.
You got taller.
Yeah, taller, no hair, tanner. Yeah. So.
Lots of Crisco.
Yeah. But one thing that he notes in his 4 Hour Chef, and it's about learning whatever you think. You're supposed to get over the hump about learning things that you think you can't learn. And this applies to dieting, I think, because it's called the minimum effective dose. And it basically says the smallest dose will produce the desired outcome. Anything beyond that is wasteful. So basically saying you could approach it in such a way that if you adopt 20% of something, then you get 80% of your outcome. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. This quote here, it's, for me, life is continuously being hungry. The meaning of life is not simply to exist, to survive, but to move ahead, to go up and to achieve and to conquer. So I think this relates to dieting. But you don't have to be subject to the roller coaster diet or going off and on certain stuff. You can always go ahead. You can always go up in the right direction. Michael Phelps, one of my role models. I swam in high school, so I had to look up to this guy. He won the most gold medals in the Olympics, and he came out around the same time with this diet. Basically, 12,000 calories a day he was consuming to basically keep alive because of the amount of exercise he was doing in the pool. But how do you do that? Well, you eat whatever you want, as long as it adds up to 12K calories a day, which is very hard. As we know, Michael Phelps diet, looking this good, never tasted so delicious, most certainly fatal. Recently, he actually had a video, I think it was in 2011, so obviously years after the Olympics, but he had some good words of wisdom on this, saying that he only eats what he needs to. So if he's not exercising, then he doesn't need to eat this massive amount of calories to use for energy. Lance Armstrong, you know him from Livestrong and probably Tour de France. He was stripped of his titles due to certain reasons. But the man is a machine, and I think he's provided a lot of inspiration to all of us. If you have people affected by cancer, he's had the foundation of Livestrong that spreads a great message. Chances are, if you do searches for some of these common diets, you'll stumble across like a Livestrong article on it, which I think is great. Rich Froning Jr. So it wouldn't be a diet or talk about diet and exercise if I didn't mention CrossFit, which is an exercise program I take outside of AxoFit. This guy is a 3-time champion of fittest man on earth. So there's a competition, and he's won it 3 years in a row. He doesn't have any strict diet from what I can tell. He drinks approximately 6 gallons of milk a week, He eats tubs of peanut butter, but I did notice in one of his videos he said he skipped bread, which I thought was cool. The last role model I have is Tony Horton, P90X, Tony Horton Kitchen. He follows the 90-10 rule, saying 90% of the time you should eat right. You should eat stuff that's of quality, and you should know that it's doing good for you. 10% of the time you can eat questionable stuff. You can cheat and get away with it. He has great stuff on making it simple, and great answers to why you should do this, such as achieving optimum health and vitality, physical, mental, and emotional fountain of youth. So I have a hard time with us here at AxoTalk because I think everyone is my age for some reason. I don't know if it's because we all act younger, but it's definitely an interesting thing here. But you definitely do this to improve your quality of life and achieve longevity. These are the resources here I used and I own. So basically, it's to be healthy and well. And when you adopt a diet, you want to stick to it. You don't want to lose it. You don't want to freak out. You don't want to just drop it. You want to stick to it. These diets that are listed, only a couple I've done, I adopt certain principles of them into my own. And don't take it too seriously. Don't be too stubborn or limit yourself. You don't want to diet. You want to live it. So the question is, what's right for me? What's right for you? Well, part of that is the answer. You have to find what is right for you for your lifestyle. Once you get involved, just stick to it and see if it works for you. You don't want to stress over not knowing, what's good or bad, and that's why you don't want to act or end up like this couple who dies of confusion. To wrap it up for this, we're all kind of achieving an end goal, and personally, I kind of do a diet for a number of reasons. Primarily, I want to be happy, and I know. Actually, I have this here. Our core values here. Happiness is number one. So I know it belongs to you too. And part of the healthy lifestyle and diet is I'm trying to achieve happiness there and maintain it. So, with our bodies, and we're really giving something special or a system when we want to maintain that. I want to let my body have the ability to perform and function well, and not be inefficient in any way. It's never about short-term, weight management or like fitting into the dress or getting ready for the beach in summertime. It's vastly about maintenance, I think, and longevity. Many of you may not know, but this inspiration comes from an event in my life and me being a cancer survivor. This is me almost 10 years ago, and prior to this, I weighed in at 155 pounds. At my lowest during treatment, I was 116 pounds. So some of the stuff was taken away from me, like physical sports and stuff like that. But I look for other things, and through my diet and fitness, I get to do things like go golfing with people I enjoy doing it with. I get to go hiking, and I get to lift weights and push my physical capacity. So I think once you know what's true for you, and once you have a purpose, all this health and wellness stuff just kind of clears the way and allows you to get to your goals and have a quality life. As far as the diets, I don't think there's a magic secret or diet we should all be limited to in giving us optimum health. Just explore your options, consume quality foods most of the time, eat appropriately in moderation, and I think you'll just do fine. So thank you.